Welcome, cannabis friends. So I'm writing a book called Cannabis Oil Secrets, and it's the first in a series of books for the trifecta of health products. So it's basically on RSO or FECO, which is Rick Simpson oil or full extract cannabis oil. And I'm calling it Cannabis Oil Secrets, and I'm at the beginning stages right now. As you can see, I have the sections uh, put out there. So I wanted to go over that with you to get some feedback from you to see if I could actually write a book that you would want to read. Okay, so let's go over the sections, and then I'll ask you for the feedback that I'm looking for at the end. All right. So the introduction is just going to be the basics, of a book, book description, introduction about the art, about the author. And then I was thinking to go into some history of the cannabis oils, how it's been used for health and healing throughout history, like thousands of years back. Not for like rope or clothing or something like that, like industrial stuff, but just for how it was used for health and healing. And then later on, why it was demonized in the early 1900s, and then how we are rediscovering, its benefits today, and then a brief description of the available cannabis oils, such as the RSO and FECO and distillate oils and isolates, etc. Okay, so that's the history, and then we go into just all about RSO, all about Rick Simpson oil. Like why we choose RSO or FECO. Mainly because like it's the only one that works for me. All the other ones don't. Um, Most of you know that I went blind from uh, glaucoma and got my vision back with cannabis oils, and it was specifically a specialized version of RSO or FECO. The other distillates and isolates, etc. If I take those, I'll eventually go blind on those. So there's something special about the RSO, and that's what I want people to understand about that in this book. Okay, so why RSO or FECO? Who is Rick Simpson? He's still alive, so who he is, and how he fits into the equation, and then what makes it special or different from other cannabis oils, like we mentioned. And then we'll talk a little bit about like the endocannabinoid system, the system that you have in your body that is fed by cannabinoids, and why I consider or claim that cannabinoids are essential nutrients. And it's basically because you have an endocannabinoid system, but there's, a little bit more lengthy explanation for that. And then how quality matters, too, for the RSO as well. So people can understand how to choose the best quality and know when they're getting quality or not and all that kind of stuff. Okay. And then the next section would be on the CBD FICO. So the CBD FICO is like a high CBD or CBD dominant version of RSO or FICO, full extract cannabis oil. And it's something that I created, and I wanted to describe like why it's a game changer for your health and wellness and for the wellness industry, just period. And the differences between like CBD FICO and what you see on other websites like full spectrum CBD, how they are totally different, right? And what makes ours so special, and then how I came up with the formulation, etc. Okay, so that's the introduction, history, all about RSO or FICO, and then all about the CBD FICO, the CBD dominant FICO, and then we get into use cases. Okay, so the various use cases for RSO and FICO, such as like the chronic conditions like cancer and chronic pain, chronic fatigue, POTS, etc. And then other like the what I call milder conditions like anxiety, stress, depression, all those kinds of things, and then case studies to support what we just claimed, and like success stories and things like that, and then also some clinical trials that we could show, like that have been validated, in peer-reviewed studies and all that kind of stuff. So have a section just on that for the different use cases, and then the supporting evidence for that. Okay. And then the last thing is basically, there's the conclusion, obviously, and then the appendices, which would have like a glossary of terms. So like if there's some like technical or cannabis type of jargon kind of thing that's common, that would be in there. We try to make it as, um, the language in the book so everybody could understand it. But we'll have a glossary of terms in the back anyways, just in case there is any jargon, that needs to be defined or anything. And then the protocols for the use cases. So like for cancer or chronic pain or chronic fatigue, the recommended protocols that I've developed, I'll include those in the appendices. And then also like the bibliography, which all the clinical trials and peer-reviewed studies and things like that. Then we'll show the references for that. How to locate them and validate them and stuff like that. And then basic contact info, etc. So that's the sections that I've broken out. Next is making the outline for the book, and I'm really excited to get this out there and get this info out to the masses. Like you guys in the community, but also to the masses, so you could understand just how valuable this oil is for health and wellness in 2025 and beyond. It's super crucial. So what I wanted to get from you is to see if this makes sense, if you think this would make a good book, or if there's certain things in there that aren't necessary, like maybe some parts of the history or something like that. Like I don't want to put too much fluff in it. I want it to be like things, information that you could use without, having a bunch of fluff. And then, but I don't want to leave out things either. So if there's anything in there that you think should be in there, then let me know. And then also, if I didn't mention something that you think should be in there, then let me know about that too. So again, let me know if there are things that I've mentioned here that you think really don't belong in the book. It's not necessary. It's not going to add to the value of the book. And I'll think about removing those. And then if there's anything that I didn't mention that you think would really add value to the book, then definitely let me know about that. And I really do appreciate that. So this is Al Morenton with My Fit Life from Movida and Cannabis Oil Secrets. So hope you have a beautiful day. Peace.